Hello, everyone. Jax West from Justice with Jax, Stephen Avery Project, and MAM Gossip on Facebook. We are Wednesdays at 1 live on YouTube discussing a different case every week. Let me turn my fan off. I'm always warm, even though here in the Chicagoland area it is below zero, but whatever. I'm warm. I'm in a tank top, as you can see, but I'm also not leaving my house. So, hello, Millbilly. Long time no see. Um, every week we're covering a different case. If you go on the Justice with Jax Facebook page, sup, cat? We have every week scheduled out for the entire year. So you can do your homework and jump ahead of the class if you would like. Millbilly, you're up in Wisconsin, right? How cold is it's got to be even colder by you than it is by me. Um, so you can jump ahead of the class and check out some cases ahead of us. But this week we are covering the Pamela Smart case. And I didn't have to do too much homework on it. I mean, I have to -4. Let's see. Let me pull up my weather right now here. Out of coincidence or coincidence. Out of where's my weather on here? Weather app. What is it here now? Oh, it's 5 degrees here now. When I got up this morning at 5 a.m., it was -8. But it's 5 degrees. Feels like -6. So go Chicagoland. So the Pamela Smart case is something that I followed a lot back when it originally happened. Once again, yeah, without wind chill. Um, this is again back when internet wasn't as it is now because I am old and I really got a lot of the details from People magazine back then. And then there was that movie that was made, To Die For, with Nicole Kidman and everything, which is a great movie, and I do recommend watching it, but when it's a movie opposed to a documentary, it's taking creative license. So, when you go and watch something like that, and speaking of that, I know I constantly get way off topic on things as I, squirrel this way. I watched a new thing that just went on Netflix yesterday on the Eileen Wuornos story, which is something we're gonna be covering at some point this year. And, I have watched things on her case before, but I'm like, "Okay, I'll check this out." It was horrible. Um, and I gotta think, like, next to none of that was true. Um, which if you're not looking for something to be true and you're just looking for entertainment, even then it sucks. I mean, I watch cheesy horror films, but this is even bad as a cheesy horror film. But so when you do your homework, I do recommend watching documentaries, going on YouTube and finding actual trial, things like that. For for this case, I only watched an ID channel documentary. Oh, no, I did not. Millbilly, I'm really other than me doing these things on YouTubes, I'm not real into watching videos and such, and people recommend stuff to me all the time, and I really should watch stuff, but I guess I'm lazy and instead I watch stuff on Netflix. Oh my gosh, Kratz book? So that might be something fun for me to go into. Like, we've done a video here before where I read Kratz's book because I was saving everybody their money. Don't buy his trash. And then I just made fun of it as we went. So, yeah, I don't like the lies either. Hello, snooze. So, yeah, it's hard because anybody can have a YouTube channel, anybody can do a podcast, and it doesn't mean the stuff they're gonna say is factual. Nana, -15. Yikes. Thumbs up, Nana. So, all right, so I watched the ID channel, and that doesn't mean that this is 100% factual or anything like that. Um It's just what I watched to try and, you know, took my notes as usual each week to go over the case. It was called An American Murder Mystery, Pamela Smart, and there were 3 episodes of it. In Plover, Wisconsin, it's a -25. Yeah, hey there, you all in Wisconsin. Whew. Do you go snowmobiling? How do you even can you who goes snowmobiling at -25 though? I mean, I guess if you totally cover your face and everything, but ouch. So, I don't know how many of y'all watching live or those of you who will watch later had heard of the Pamela Smart case before. But so Gregory Smart was 24 years old. This was a case from New Hampshire that occurred on May 1st, 1990. So, again, I'm old. So I'm old enough to remember this case. So, on May 1st, Pamela Smart, Greg's wife, runs out of her condo to a neighbor's house and is screaming for them to call the police. Pamela was 22 at this time. Um when the police get to the condo, it's ransacked, but there was no forced entry. And Gregory Smart was laying face down right inside the door. And there wasn't any blood anywhere. They you weren't even sure what had happened to him. Um, Greg was a very outgoing guy. Uh, and Pam used to do a college radio show where they called her the Maiden of Metal, which again, just like when we covered the West Memphis 3 case, me being somebody who was into hard rock and heavy metal music, that was another thing that drew me to the case because these people are just like me, right? Um when they met in New Hampshire, but when Pamela went away to college in Florida, Greg followed her down there. College wasn't his thing, and so he went and hung out with her down in Florida, and she was really turned on by him at that time. He had the mullet and was in a band, and so she got all the feels for him at that time. Once she graduated, they moved back to New Hampshire. She got a job working at schools, and Greg got a job selling insurance with his dad. Dun, dun, dun. That should have told you right then for somebody who considers herself the maiden of metal, would be a turnoff that he's selling insurance. They got married on May 7th, 1989. Um, So back to the date of the crime, the cops, when they were searching everything, they found a joint in Greg's truck. Okay, whatever. Um, Pam really wanted the cops to question her. Now, the cops should have been questioning her right away because, when most times when murders occur, it's from by somebody that they know, right? So she should have been questioned, but Pam really wanted to be questioned. And I so love Nicole Kidman's portrayal of her in To Die For. It's over the top, but I really like that. Um, she said she got home at 10:30 p.m. that night, and the lights were off and the door was open. She said there was no blood, so she thought somebody had just hit him and could have still been in the house, so that's why she ran for help. So, she didn't even check to see if he's alive or dead or anything, according to her story. which even that's suspicious that you're immediately gonna be going for help and not seeing if he's breathing. Um, they're trying to say by it being ransacked, that, "Oh, the place was robbed," but the police notice that Greg has his wallet and his wedding ring. They then discover he was shot to the head. Now, I'm not a gun expert, but I found that really fascinating that Greg was only shot once to the head. Did I write down what gun it was? I'm not even though my husband is an NRA instructor with his concealed carry and all of that, I should know more about guns than I do. But I don't recall, it was a handgun, but there was no blood. There was no splatter on the wall. There was nothing. And so they literally don't know that he's been shot until they're moving his body. Um, I really should put my finger in my notes so I can find where I'm at. People, people suggested that Greg had a gambling problem, but when cops followed that lead, they found nothing. No gambling problem, as far as they could tell. Then Pamela herself calls a reporter to do an interview. She tells the reporter that she's trying to clear this up, that it was a robbery and not a drug deal. She did the interview 3 days after Greg's funeral, and it was also the day before their 1-year wedding anniversary. She suggested to the reporter that they show a picture or video of her looking at the top of their wedding cake. So she's trying to produce the segment. Just kinda weird. Um, then she does a ton of interviews, makes the interviews all about her, and she's not even doing the OJ line saying she's gonna make it her mission to find the real killer. She's not talking anything. She's not saying to people, "If you have any information, reach out to this," nothing. Just talking about herself and enjoying the limelight. On May 14th, the cops get a call from somebody anonymously saying that the wife planned the murder. The anonymous caller said that they heard it from this girl named Cecilia. So on May 21st, they interview Cecilia, who was 15 years old at the time. She had an internship with Pamela Smart, who was working at her high school. Cecilia at that time denies to police any anything and everything, just is not gonna talk. But she did say that she stayed with Pamela Smart the week prior to the murder. The cops had asked Pam who all had been in the house recently since they'd be doing fingerprinting so they could rule people out. And Pamela did not mention that Cecilia had been staying at her house. The cops won't tell Pam anything now because of all the interviews that she's doing. So she calls a reporter again, this time on June 6th, and asks them to come to her new condo. She bought herself a new condo to interview her there. On May 10th, a man tells the police a friend of his son told him that his gun was used in this crime. So he goes and looks at his gun and notices that one of them has been cleaned, and he knows he put it away dirty. It should not have been cleaned. He heard rumors a boy named Billy Flynn was bragging around town, and that he these were his this kid's friends and heard them bragging about the murder. And then when he walked in, they just outright admitted to him that they had killed Greg. The one kid, Pete, said that he had held Greg's head, and Billy Flynn is the one who shot him in the head. The motive was insurance money that they were going to get from Greg's wife, Pam, and that Pam had said that Greg is worth more dead than alive. So the connection again is Pam working at the school. It turns out that these boys were part of a project that she was working on at the school of making this orange juice commercial. So the life insurance policy was $140,000 that Pam thought that she was going to get upon Greg's death. The police got arrest warrants for the 3 boys. So there's the one boy who allegedly held Greg's head, the one boy who shot him, and then the boy who got the gun and, was making getting the car that's supposed to get the car for them. Turn page. So once the police get the arrest warrants for these 3 boys, that's when a reporter finds a picture of Pam with 2 of the 3 boys at the school. Pam refuses to comment when the boys are arrested and says she is devastated, which that also then confused people on and police on why her wording would be that she's devastated by these boys being arrested, and instead of being glad you got the people who killed my husband, I'm shocked, whatever, but why would you be devastated? The boys refuse to talk. So the cops go back to Cecilia. She still doesn't talk. She watches the news that night, and then she confesses to her mom on what she knows and what happened. They go to the police the next day. Cecilia told police that Pam had told her that she was in love with Bill, and she knows they were having sex because she's actually walked in on them while they were having sex. Billy Flynn was the photographer for this, orange juice commercial that they were making. Cecilia told the police that and now we're on the second episode of this ID channel. Cecilia said that Pam was front and center in planning this murder. Cops had Cecilia call Pam to try to get her to confess on tape. Pam's too smart, doesn't say anything over the phone. So now the cops want her to go to Pamela in person wearing a wire. Cecilia does, but there were equipment malfunctions and the tape is hard to hear in spots. But during that conversation, Pamela tells Cecilia that she is better off lying to the police. Um, I don't know why my notes say good news, bad news. Under arrest equals under arrest. Don't know what that note means. At least I can read my writing. The press goes crazy with this. Hey, Bryce. The press goes crazy with this case, and they got their hands on pictures of Pamela Smart in a bikini on a bed that Pamela had taken and given to Billy Flynn. The prosecutor charges the 3 boys as adults, and the reason he did that is trying to get them to talk, and offered them a plea deal if they would testify against Pam. If they agree, they would get 40 years to life, deferred 12 years for good behavior. So they all pled guilty to second degree. Pamela's defense team wanted a change of venue, but it was denied. The judge did allow the trial to be filmed. The defense tried to put all the blame on troubled kids and saying that they just did this on their own. The kids said things like Pamela didn't want them to get any blood on her carpeting, so they didn't want them to stab him because she said it would get blood everywhere. I would have thought shooting somebody would produce a bunch of blood, but apparently not in this case anyway. Um, the guy that was supposed to get the car, it fell through. Pamela was actually driving these 3 boys around. The driver was told he would get $500 to be a part of this murder. Cecilia said there was a time that she had to, like, pass notes between Pam and Billy, and so a note Pam wrote to Billy says, "Aren't you ever gonna kiss me?" Ugh. So Pam left the condo door open for them. The boys said when Greg walked in, they grabbed him, they made him get on his knees. They said Pam was laughing in the car on the way home. Now we go into the 3rd episode. The defense said that Billy was acting when he had been on the stand. Yeah, I don't think so. Cecilia testified. Um, she said she was supposed to just be the cover for their affair. So when Pamela was having sex with Billy Flynn, Cecilia would be there, you know. So fact that the teacher is having sex with the boy when there's another girl with them. Apparently, that was their thought. Defense said Cecilia had tried to get a gun for Billy before they got the other gun. So they were trying to make it out like Cecilia was more part of it. But Cecilia's defense to that is she never believed that this was even going to happen when there was some discussion over it. So, and these kids are smoking pot together and drinking or whatever. And there was a little bit of, and so she's like, so if she could get, she didn't care, she'd get a gun for him. So that excuse on that. They talked again about the wire that Cecilia was wearing and how it had malfunctioned. They actually got the experts from the Watergate trial to fix the audio, and then the audio was also transcribed. So that's been some contention where people are saying, well, is the transcript matching what was actually said or not? And, just trying to find an excuse for things. Um, Pamela was very worried about the phone being tapped. And she had told Cecilia in that wire conversation that if Cecilia was to talk, she would be sending them to prison for the rest of their life. So, in my opinion, no matter what you hear or how much you're able to hear on that wire, it just shows a lot of guilt that Pamela is guilty. Pam did testify. She claimed that Gregory had an affair. and then claimed that Billy Flynn instigated their affair, which I don't know if she knows that that doesn't it doesn't matter if the 15-year-old high school boy instigated an affair with the teacher, you had an affair, so whatever. Um, on March 24th, she had had sex with Billy for the first time because Greg was out of town after they watched 9.5 weeks together and then tried to recreate some of the scenes. Cecilia was downstairs having to witness coming downstairs for food to bring up there. Pam says she loved Billy Flynn at one point. She claims she ended the affair because she loved Greg and claims that Billy Flynn just killed her husband because he was jealous and wanted Pam. On the cross examination, Pam claimed that she was just playing a game with Cecilia to try and get info about her case since the police wouldn't tell her anything. So, playing that whole game. It was only an 11-day trial, and deliberation was less than 3 days. Pamela was found guilty on all charges and got life with no parole. Her defense team tried to blame the media, and they blamed the transcript. Pamela tried for a new trial and was denied. And then she has lost at every level. So when this documentary was made, it is 25 years later. All three of the guys that were involved are free while she is still in prison. At the end of the third episode is an interview with Pam Smart in prison, where she says they testified against her to save their own lives and that Cecilia just wanted to be famous, which I thought was laughable. She compared herself to Jackie O because people were really scrutinizing her behavior after her husband's death on how cold she was and didn't seem to care. And so, yeah, so she's trying to compare herself to Jackie O, but not the same thing at all there. And when you see Jackie O in that convertible when she's wearing her husband's brains on her dress, she didn't look like cold and calculating in that moment. And then, sure, at the processional, when, you've seen that video of JFK Jr. saluting the car that's carrying his dad. I mean, that's a politician thing. That's yeah, you're going to be no emotion. That's totally different than how Pamela behaved after the murder of her husband. She claims that stuff has been deleted from the tape of the conversation between her and Cecilia, and wah, wah, wah. She says, she's in there for the rest of her life and that on her paperwork, her parole date is set for 99, 99, 9,999. Oh, well. And sorry, she has well, let me get into this. Okay, so the episode ends, and then things of note that I took from seeing where the case is now, that on December 7th, 2021, she put in a bid for clemency. She claims responsibility because she had an affair. She's not saying that she was any part of the planning or anything. She's just doing the martyrdom of, if I hadn't have had, well, no, she's not crying. I'm being over dramatic there. She doesn't cry. So she's just saying, due to her having the affair with Billy Flynn, that made him be jealous and murder her husband. So that's how she's taking responsibility. So she's not taking responsibility that she planned this. And so therefore, eh, in my opinion, I'm sorry, all the evidence is here. She is guilty and she does not claim responsibility. So, therefore, she should not get paroled. She should not get a new trial. There is no new evidence. There's nothing. You did it. You're a danger to society because just like when we talked about the Broderick case, who says she doesn't date somebody else and get upset with somebody and she organized something else? You just don't know. So she's right where she should be. So Pete Randall, the guy who allegedly held his head, he was paroled on August 8, 2015. Raymond Fowler, who was supposed to organize the car and the gun, he got out in 2003. And Billy Flynn got out in 2015. He has moved to Maine, where is with his wife, whom he married when he was in prison. And that's it for my notes, the end of that case. So, yeah, I 100% believe that Pamela Smart is guilty and a danger to society. And it's the whole Charles Manson thing of Charles Manson wasn't there when Sharon Tate and the Folgers and Jay Sebring, is that his name, were murdered. Oh, and uh Parrot or something, the boy that lived in the other house. Um, he wasn't there, but he had them do it. So you're just as guilty, if not more so. That's why you're punished more, because these people wouldn't have gone and killed these people if you hadn't have told them to go do it. These 3 high school boys would not have gone and murdered Greg Smart if she had not sent them there, if she had not kept her house unlocked, if she did all the planning and told them what to do and all of it. So, I don't have an issue that these are the ones who actually committed the murder and are out and she is still in. I I don't at all. These boys were punished as they should be. I don't think just for testifying against her or admitting their guilt that they should get to just walk away scot free. They did time. So this case, when did I say it happened? 1990. And so the kid that actually pulled the trigger got out in 2015. So um he did a lot of time. So, and I don't think that he is somebody who there's a good chance he could get manipulated into killing somebody else. I don't. I think he's done his time and let him go live his life. But she deserves to stay there. There's a lot you can find on this case. Well, like you can find on any case with all of, you know, N Netflix and ID channel and YouTube, all that. So, if you wanna surf around some more on more things on the case, go for it, and, To Die For, it's a good movie. I recommend it. Next week, we're going to be covering the Ryan Ferguson case. So, Ryan Ferguson is another one of Kathleen Zellner's cases, who Kathleen Zellner, for those that may not be from Making a Murderer World, is Stephen Avery's attorney. But first, she was with Ryan Ferguson. And I've seen it a couple times. We've even watched it live together in a video where I talked while we watched it. But I'm going to watch it again for probably the 5th time and take my notes to talk next week, Wednesday at 1, on Dream Killer. And I'm not going to talk a lot about it right now. We'll save it for next week. I do see that Dream Killer is currently on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, watch it and you will fall in love with Bill Ferguson. Bill Ferguson is my hero, Ryan Ferguson's dad. It's a very interesting case and a case that I refer to a lot when you talk about the Making a Murderer case with Stephen and Brendan being 2 defendants, because there's 2 defendants in this case as well, and next week we'll get into that. Um, Bryce fell in love with Ryan. Well, you can watch Ryan Ferguson tonight on The Amazing Race. Ryan Ferguson is still in the race. It is on CBS on Wednesday nights. I DVR everything, so I'm not sure if it's on at 7, well, things start at 7 p.m. Central here, 7 or 8, but watch The Amazing Race. You can see Ryan Ferguson traveling the world, which I love. I mean, and I know he's been out for a while and he's had opportunities, but I still love that somebody who is wrongfully convicted is on The Amazing Race and getting to experience these things. And if you've never watched Amazing Race, it's a reality show with teams of 2. The teams of 2 have a relationship of some kind, be it, spouses or parent child. And in Ryan's case, his team is a longtime friend of his, somebody who was his friend before his case happened. So somebody he goes back a long way with, and they're a pretty strong team. So yes, and he's got a podcast too. I've shared that at times when I see it on the Justice with Jack's Facebook page. So, and Ryan Ferguson actually is somebody who in the past, I can't ever do a live video without talking about Melissa Kaluzinski, who, is my, light of my life, I guess. Um, there was a campaign at one time where people were asked to take a picture and hold a sign saying "Free Melissa," and Ryan Ferguson was somebody who did that held up a Free Melissa. And Melissa, years ago, talked to Ryan on the phone. He called her at prison, which was so appreciated or he didn't call her at prison. She was able to talk to him. You know what I'm saying? Um, it was so appreciated. Melissa's had several of the clients that Kathleen Zellner has freed contact her. Because I mean, who knows what you're experiencing that can truly talk to you about it, but people who have been there. So, she is watching Amazing Race from prison and following along. She did miss last week's episode. So I filled her in and let her know that Ryan is still on. So she's all excited about that. Um, I want to mention something about Melissa that I'm really not sure what to do with. And I've posted about this a little bit on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page. And I have talked about it in past videos. But prisons right now with COVID, it's horrible. I can't speak for out of the state of Illinois. I just know personally, what is happening here and specifically in Melissa's prison. And Melissa has almost always had a job while in prison. And when they are being quarantined or locked down, however you want to call it, they stop all movement is how they call it. They stop all movement. So then the people who have jobs cannot go to their jobs. They've now told people, and see, I don't know what to do with this on exposing it. I mean, I've talked to Melissa about it and, because I think it should be exposed, but it also has to be done in such a way that, like, I can't expose it, even though here I am talking about it on here, because I'm obviously tied to Melissa. I talk to her on the phone every week. When there's visitation, I visit her at least once a month. When it wasn't COVID, it was twice a month. So I don't want Melissa punished for me calling attention to what is happening at the prison. Um, but I've already talked about previously, it was they so they're not going to chow. So officers are bringing chow, but then putting it outside by the street because Melissa's prison is like a campus and so there's all these inner roads to get to each building that houses X amount of inmates in them. So they leave the tray out by the road, and so they have to walk from their building out to the road to go get their food, and then obviously sitting outside, it's the food is now cold. She's down south from me, so Bryce knows what the weather's Bryce is from that area. Um, but it's not warm there. And so they're getting cold food, plus they're getting crappy food because if the inmates aren't the ones doing the jobs and the officers have to do it, officers don't care how well the inmates eat and they're getting crap. The prison's running out of things. Melissa is afraid they're gonna actually run out of food. They've been limiting commissary, that they're not able to get commissary as much and what is available. There's been times when they've been told there's no soap because, again, don't get me started on, "Oh, they get 3 hot meals and a cot and blah, 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 and, living on our taxpayer dime." No, they gotta pay if they want soap to clean their body, they have to pay for it. You're not paying for it. It does not come out of your tax dollars. They're paying for their soap, and now they're being told, "Oh, sorry, no soap. You can't wash." Um, "Oh, nope, we don't have any laundry detergent. You can't clean your clothes." Um, so first you had that happening with the food, and also the prison it's a choice thing there, that now Melissa is fully vaccinated, but the inmates do not have to be fully vaccinated, nor do the officers. The officers aren't even wearing are not vaccinated, and they're coming and going from the prison, getting in contact with other people and bringing stuff back into the prison. And then the prison has to keep being put on quarantine because the officers who won't get vaccinated or wear a mask just keep bringing it back to them. Here, welcome. And it keeps cycling around. So the latest thing the prison has said is that they are not going to let anybody return back to work until they've had COVID. So they're trying to force them to get the 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 virus before they can work. I don't know if they're thinking it's gonna be an antibody thing or they're just trying to kill people off. I don't know, but that infuriates me. Nobody should have to get sick to make how much an hour do they make? And Melissa is pest control is her job currently, to mice, they're the prison's in the middle of a, preserve, woods and everything. So, it's her job to deal with all the varmints and stuff that come, she shouldn't have to get COVID before she can go back to work doing pest control. And I'm just, if this got out to the press, I'm sure there'd be plenty of people who'd be upset with it. Yeah, there'll be the vaccine denier people who'll be whooping it up that this is a good thing. These inmates are suffering because they are cut off from everything. Now they can't get visits from their loved ones. They don't get the food like they should. They don't get commissary like they should. And if people would just, then separate the prison, the ones that aren't vaccinated, you be in these houses, and the ones that are be in these houses, and these ones who will wear a mask, or however they're going to do it. But you keep putting Melissa at risk, and I don't like it. So I care about all the inmates, but I care specifically about Melissa. And I'm telling you right now, if something happens and Melissa gets infected, I'm going to lose my mind and I'm going to be down at that prison throwing a big fit. So, yeah. That's the latest with Melissa. And I'm also bothered that Melissa had a court date that was scheduled for April of 2020. It was scheduled prior to COVID being a thing, and then COVID postponed her date. So here we are now in 22, and her date still isn't rescheduled, and she's still sitting there and has been in prison for 13 years. It infuriates me. So, but next week is Ryan Ferguson, and um Bryce will do a lot of homework, Google imaging Ryan Ferguson in the next week. uh, Bryce, go ahead and you can make yourself a thread on the Justice with Jack's Facebook page and share all your favorite pictures of Ryan Ferguson. um, let me tell you, since I have the screen up on the other side, so February, I'll give you all of February that's scheduled. So the 2nd is Ryan Ferguson. The 9th is Adam Brazil, which I know next to nothing on that case. So anybody who can point me in the direction of where to get the best information on the Adam Brazil case, that and I put these in that the 3 in this order because 'cause they're all Kathleen Zellner cases. Because Kathleen just took on Adam Brazil's wrongful conviction. Um, to get he's free. It's now time to pay him up, and so Kathleen just took that on. So, it's Ryan Ferguson, Adam Brazil, and then on February 16th is the Riley Fox case, which I covered. Did I cover here or was it on our Facebook page? I can't remember for sure, but I covered it recently. And that's another local one because Kathleen Zellner, her office is here in Illinois. And so this was a local case. And I actually went to and did a video from Riley Fox's Memorial Garden. So we'll do Riley Fox on the 16th. And then on February 23, we're going to do the Marnie Yang case, which is another case here in Illinois. No connection to Kathleen Zellner. It's a case I used to advocate for. I don't any longer, but I do still believe in Marnie's innocence. So those are all our cases for February. We try to do these videos every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Time. I just recently had a job interview and now just completed I got moved to the second level and I'm supposed to find out early February if I get the job. If something happens and I do get a job, the the time may have to change. We'll see, but I'm not going to get my hopes up on the job. So, but I'm just putting that out there. Um, so, all right. Thank you, everybody. Oh, I guess another thing I want to mention before I go, I don't know why, and this is another Facebook thing, but so on Facebook, we have a page that is called RIP Dolores Avery that we started when Stephen's mother, Dolores, passed away in July of last year. And I started that page to just be a page about Dolores and, no drama, no case, just basically like a guest book. So when Stephen is free, he can go back and look at that and see people's thoughts and prayers for Stephen, for the horrible death of his mom. And recently in the last week, we were getting so many new requests to be on that page. I don't know why. So then I made a post on Stephen Avery Project about it and gave the link to that group for new people. So we added a whole bunch of new people recently. If you've never gone there, please join it and just leave your message for so someplace where Stephen will be able to find it, that you don't have to, like, search through case talk and all this other stuff. This is just people wanting to show their sympathy for Stephen. So, have I ever heard of the Krista Cipher case from Plover? No, I did not. Oh, nice. You did the henna tattoo. Okay. I don't know that case. But on our Justice with Jax page, see, I started the Justice with Jax because then we can cover any case. I would have liked to be able to just do all this on Stephen Avery Project, but there'll be so many people that if I say anything about another case over there, they get mad and they're like, "What does this have to do with Stephen?" And it's like, "Look, nothing's happening in Stephen's case right now. We get lulls all the time in Stephen's case. And so why shouldn't we talk about another case?" And so they just get mad and I get attacked. And so it's like, okay. So we started Justice with Jax. So that frees us up to talk about any case. And so for Justice with Jax on Facebook, there's the page, which is public and anybody can see and you don't have to join and all that. And then there's the group that you have to join and it's closed. And the reason I always like to have two, a page and a group, is because if you're not an admin or a moderator of a page, if you go to post something on there, it typically goes onto the right side of like visitors posts and it goes into a no man's land and people don't see it. And you can't really have a good discussion that way. But in a Facebook group, any new post that gets made bumps it to the top. It's right in the middle, so everybody can see it and discuss. So I welcome people, post whatever cases you want in there. Um, on any case that is not Stephen or Melissa, um, people can be on either side of the issue. And on Stephen or Melissa, they're innocent, and I'm not gonna fight you if you say they're guilty. You're just gonna be gone because I'm not gonna go there. I know they're innocent, and that's that, and there's plenty of other pages you could go to if you wanna play the guilter card on Stephen or Melissa's cases. You're not gonna do it on mine. Ta-da. So, thank you everybody for joining me this week. Do your homework, watch Dream Killer on Netflix before next Wednesday to see the Ryan Ferguson case, and watch him tonight on The Amazing Race on CBS. So, thank you everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe. I have like nowhere near the subscribers of my husband, who doesn't even make that many videos. You can see 2 really good videos he did on there, though, that pertain to the Stephen Avery case, because he's the one that, filmed it for me when we had been up in Manitowoc. So you can see my bus driver video on his Facebook page, and you can see the walk to where the RAV4 was in the salvage yard. So, he's got those 2 videos, on his page as well as all his fish stuff. Um, no, my husband's YouTube is all about he does fish tanks and pond um, and I think now he's been making videos on he got 3D printers, so I think he's got 3D printer videos. So, nothing on this at all, but back years ago when we had taken those first trips up to Manitowoc, I didn't have any Facebook pages, and I mean, I still do I know like nothing about YouTube, and he had the YouTube thing, and I needed the video to go somewhere, so he put it on his YouTube page so I could link to it from Facebook. So, uh, yeah, so many of you wouldn't have any interest in his other videos, but you may be interested to see the where I prove there is no way in the Stephen Avery case that the bus driver saw Teresa Halbach by the red van. Not possible. Absolutely not possible. I have photographic proof of that, and it's in the video on my husband's page. And my other video shows that there is no way that Pam Sturm could have found the RAV4 in the time that she did without being told where to go, because we walked it and timed it. So, really gonna go now. Hi and goodbye, Ash. Ash. Next week, Ryan Ferguson. Thank you, everybody. Investigation continues.